Welcome to our channel, the place where future billionaires come to get inspired. Fyodor Dostoevsky, one of the greatest novelists in history, a man whose books have left an indelible mark on our understanding of human psychology and its interaction with modern social and political structures. His work questions what we think we know about ourselves, about our desires, and the consequences of false delusions and impossible ideals. And yet, surprisingly little is known about the man himself. So here at our channel, we decided to take matters into our own hands and do what we do best, crafting a new narrative for the great Russian novelist. If you've already heard some of his stories, then you probably know that they aren't always easy to listen to or read. They get dark. They deal with subjects that make you uncomfortable. But these novels can help us understand more about ourselves and the choices we make than almost any other medium out there. We learn to understand others by seeing them as individuals, people who make mistakes, who get up, who fall down, people like us. So let's take a look at the life of Fyodor Dostoevsky, a man whose legacy continues to shape our understanding of humanity and our place in it today. Dostoevsky was born in 1821 in Moscow, Russia. His mother died when he was young from tuberculosis. His father, a doctor, was described as harsh and brutal. When he was 7, his father was arrested for unspecified crimes. And although he was later acquitted and released, his son never really knew him again. No, in his youth, Dostoevsky developed a passion for literature and the humanities. He began translating books for money and eventually abandoned his studies in engineering to write fiction full-time. This move was commercially successful. His first book, Poor Folk, was considered to be Russia's first social novel and brought him both critical acclaim and financial stability. But unfortunately, his second book didn't go over so well, and he struggled financially. He became friendly with a group of writers who shared his interest in utopian socialism, a philosophy that advocates for a society based on utopian ideals. These friends were known for their radical views and their opposition to the Russian government. And this association would later land Dostoevsky in hot water with the authorities. In 1849, Dostoevsky was arrested and sentenced to death by firing squad for his involvement in this group. His crime, belonging to a secret society and reading forbidden books. But just before he was to be executed, he was pardoned by the Tsar Nicholas I and instead was sent to Siberia for 4 years of hard labor under horrible conditions. It was during this time that Dostoevsky wrote some of his most famous works, including Notes from Underground and Crime and Punishment. After his release from prison, he continued to write until his death in 1881. Some of his most well-known books include The Idiot, Demons, and The Brothers Karamazov. Now let's take a closer look at some of those works. Dostoevsky's body of work is vast and complex, but some recurring themes and ideas stand out. One of his most thought-provoking works is Notes from Underground, published in 1864. The novel explores the idea that rationality and technological progress are not enough to perfect happiness and goodness. Instead, Dostoevsky believed that human life is ultimately tragic, and that suffering is a fundamental part of the human condition. The novel follows an unnamed retired civil servant, the underground man, who is bitter, angry, and deeply unhappy with his life. He rejects the rational and scientific approach to life, which claims that happiness can be achieved through reason and self-control. He believes that this view ignores the complexity of human emotions and desires. For the underground man, rationality is just another form of egoism. It is a way for people to pursue their own self-interest and indulge in sensual pleasures. The underground man is not an atheist, but rather someone who rejects the traditional religious view of the world. He believes that the idea of God is a human invention, and that the world is indifferent to human suffering. Despite his negativity, the underground man is not portrayed as a villain. He is a tragic figure who is suffering from his inability to connect with others, and his inability to find meaning in a world that he sees as absurd and meaningless. Ultimately, the novel suggests that human beings cannot live purely rationally, and must also embrace their irrationality, their passions, and their dreams. Another example of Dostoevsky's genius can be seen in his novel Crime and Punishment. This novel, published in 1866, delves into the depths of human psychology and explores the nature of self-knowledge and its lack. The story follows Rodion Raskolnikov, a former law student who is living in poverty in St. Petersburg. Raskolnikov has been influenced by a worldview that combines nihilism, rationalism, and atheism. Believes that ordinary morality and conventional ideas about good and evil are outdated and no longer relevant. He encounters a repulsive old pawnbroker woman and decides to kill her, believing that it will benefit society in the long run. Despite his initial rationalization, Raskolnikov is soon consumed by guilt and horror at what he has done. He realizes that he is not the ruthless, unfeeling person he had convinced himself to be, but rather a tender and feeling man capable of great love and compassion. Through Raskolnikov's journey, Dostoevsky critiques the notion that reason and self-interest can determine morality. He challenges the belief that all faith and relevance reside solely in the individual, and nothing outside of oneself holds any real value. Furthermore, the novel highlights the complexity of the human mind, emphasizing that we are often unaware of our true nature. Raskolnikov's inner turmoil reflects the conflict between his conscious and unconscious minds, as well as the influence of the external world on his thoughts and feelings. One of the most fascinating aspects of Crime and Punishment is Dostoevsky's ability to make readers empathize with a cold-blooded murderer. He portrays Raskolnikov as someone who is not inherently evil, but rather a flawed human being capable of great good and terrible evil. This complexity challenges readers to confront the darkness that exists within all of us, and to recognize that even in the worst of circumstances, hope for redemption remains. The novel also explores the dread of pursuing what we don't want. Raskolnikov's desire to escape his impoverished life leads him to commit murder, which brings him neither happiness nor freedom, but only more suffering. Through Raskolnikov's experience, Dostoevsky suggests that sometimes avoiding what we think we want is the wisest path to take. Throughout his works, Dostoevsky presents a bleak view of humanity. He believed that people are irrational and incessantly desire a sense of self-agency, not perfect happiness. Rather, Dostoevsky believed that people often want the opposite of what they consciously say they want, such as destruction instead of creation, or chaos instead of order. However, Dostoevsky also believed that people have the capacity for great love and compassion, and that these qualities are what redeem us in the end. In his novel, The Idiot, Prince Mishkin, a Christ-like figure, embodies this capacity for love and compassion. Despite being mocked and ridiculed by those around him, Mishkin maintains his innocence and purity of heart. An interesting aspect of Dostoevsky's work is that many of his characters share his own experiences and beliefs. For example, Prince Mishkin's thoughts about his life and future are similar to Dostoevsky's own thoughts. When he was facing his own potential execution, Mishkin describes his vision of an afterlife as a dreamlike state where he relives moments from his past life. He expresses a desire to imagine himself living in infinite time, free from the constraints of earthly existence. However, this constant thought of a future life becomes oppressive to him, causing him to wish for death. Dostoevsky himself experienced a similar fear of the future when he was awaiting his own execution. He was afraid of what would happen to him and the uncertainty of what lay ahead. This fear is reflected in Mishkin's character and his thoughts about death and the afterlife. Overall, Dostoevsky's work is a testament to the complexity and depth of the human experience. His characters and stories continue to resonate with readers today because they explore universal themes that transcend time and culture. Now let's talk about some of the key takeaways from Dostoevsky's writings. Firstly, he reminds us of the beauty and depth in life, even when faced with tragedy and suffering. Secondly, he encourages us to be wary of utopian ideals and the dangers of pursuing them within a worldview devoid of religious faith and grounded in a deeply flawed human nature. Thirdly, Dostoevsky's works offer a powerful critique of nihilism, utilitarianism, rationalism, and egoism, reminding us of the importance of considering the consequences of our actions beyond mere self-interest. Finally, he emphasizes that suffering can play a vital role in redeeming us, and that embracing our flaws and imperfections is part of what makes us human. While you may not always agree with Dostoevsky's views, his work can serve as a powerful reminder of the importance of these timeless lessons. His legacy continues to inspire and provoke discussion and debate about the deepest questions of human existence. And if you found this video valuable, congratulations! You might be one of the few who can call themselves cultured. You see, it takes someone special to appreciate the brilliance of Mr. Dostoevsky. Someone who recognizes the power of literature to challenge and change our perspectives on the world. If you're ready to dive deeper into the world of philosophy, and subscribe to our channel for more videos and join our awesome community,